Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Let's start with the story where our OP is the landlord. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Quick rental revenge. Newbie landlord here, renting my house out for the second time. This couple comes to see the place and agrees to do the application process for $30. During this process, I quickly realized these two do not have enough solid income to qualify for the place. She washes dogs and he works construction. The house is $1,650 a month with nothing included. Anyway, so I tell them, hey, I don't want to waste your time or money. You probably won't get approved. Do you have any parents that could help you out? So quickly, they put me on the phone with the girl's mom, and she's a rich old lady who'd be glad to co-sign. Great. So that night, I build a lease and email it over to them, and they sign it and send it back. The mother sends back the co-signer addendum, and I get copies of all three of their driver's licenses, and we're ready to rock. Come Monday, they were supposed to go to the bank and give me the money, and I would give them the keys. On Monday, I get a text from the mother. It says, Billy ran off with my daughter's money. He's a bad man. Sorry, but we can't take the place. I'm like, WTF? So I immediately call the boyfriend guy up, and he's like, what are you talking about, bro? I'm right here next to my girlfriend. I hear her in the background talking through the phone. So basically, we discover the mom drove by the house at night when the neighbor's teenage kids were having an argument and decided the neighborhood was unfit for her daughter, LOL. So a couple days go by of me calling and texting them and just saying, oh, IDK what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. Come day 3, I text the mother this. Because of what has transpired, you now have 3 options. 1, pay the $4,900 to move in and enjoy the house. 2, you pay me $300 for wasting my time for a week and turning away other renters. Or 3, I sue you for the full balance. This B texts me back and tries to negotiate down to $150, LMAO. Mind you, she owns 4 houses and is thoroughly wealthy. I calmly explained to her that my offer is extremely fair considering the circumstances and how I could easily sue her for much more money, etc., etc. Anyways, the lady showed up at my work 20 minutes later with a check for $300. I chose $300 because the mortgage and utility bills equal about $275 a week, and I turned down 5 potential renters during this time. And our second story. I'm redundant, but you need me? Enjoy the wait for my work. I worked for my company for 7 years. I love it. It's a great place. Except for my boss. She's a liability and has been the cause of several almost employment tribunals, all been paid off to settle. But as she's been shagging the owner, she gets away with it. Anyway, we all know what's happening in the world, which is why I've been made redundant. I'm okay with this. It's expected. I was furloughed, and since coming back part-time, I knew it was likely to happen. But I mentioned my boss as a D. Well, she told me that she wouldn't be able to pay my notice out because she needs my help while she has it. Well, that to me was a kick in the teeth. Why am I redundant, but you need me? I'm only working 2 days a week, but as it's my notice period, I'm paid for the full week. It's agreed I work Tuesday and Friday. Fine, I'll allow all my emails to build up from her with the requests for things. She doesn't know where things are. She needs this information immediately. Nope, I'm working from home and don't have a company-issued mobile, so she can't force a call. I get the work done as soon as she sends it over, but I don't send it back until the last 10 minutes of my working day. She's then slammed by emails from me and has to go through them to find out what she needs. And just to make it fun, sometimes I send her random crap that she may need once I'm no longer there, which is usually just junk mail vaguely relevant to our industry that I would have normally deleted. It's only been 2 weeks, but her exasperation is rising, and she has another 5 weeks before my notice is up. I'm doing my job, so she can't say anything about it. I'm just being very conscious of doing a good job and only sending things when I'm sure they're ready. Awesome. She knows as soon as she says something, you'll be able to remind her that you're redundant and won't be there at all in a couple weeks anyway. And our last story. No inheritance for the sneaky son. A story of money. My grandma told me this story recently about how her brother got his butt kicked from the grave. Sorry for the bad English. I do not write it very well and have dyslexia. So sorry if I butcher the text. So this is the scenario. My grandma comes from a family of 5, 4 girls, 1 boy. My great-grandfather, Hank, was ecstatic with the boy. We'll call him Jack. One more important thing is that my great-grandfather ran a very successful company that made high-end clothing and bathroom silks/towels/bathrobes. He made a fortune with his company and made sure everyone who worked for the company got his fair share. He also looked after the family. All his children got an education. All his children got a chance to get their driver's license. It was in the 1960s, so it was a big deal back then. They were the first in my hometown with a car, radio, and TV. My great-grandfather treated everyone equal. That changed when his first and only son was born. He already had 4 girls and now finally had a son. The roadmap was laid out for him. He would be the heir to his company. So began the upbringing of Jack. He was, let's say, a kid with a mouth. This wasn't bad per se. The thing was that his father allowed it. Jack got kicked out of his first school. Jack got caught shoplifting. Jack got kicked out of his second school. Jack got caught joyriding, and so on and so on. Hank did not sit Jack down and tell him the severity of his actions, but he'd shrug it and tell his wife, great-grandmother, Anna, that it was just childhood quirks. Anna tried to make something out of Jack, but it was a lost cause. Jack turned 18, and Hank decided that it was time to introduce him into the company. The company did better than ever, and the whole family was involved. Jack began at the bottom of the ladder and had to work his way up. This is where Jack began to shine. With shine, my grandmother meant that her brother was not a bright light at school, but he was a hard worker and had a nose for business. Not so much for people. Jack was being a jerk as per usual and got married to his first Karen. His first wife was a Karen. She wanted to start her own company, and her father-in-law, Hank, wanted to retire. She pushed Jack to take over quickly and push the rest of the family out. Jack listened to her and talked to his father how he was ready and how his sisters and their husbands were tearing the company apart if they would stay in their leadership roles. The thing was that only one daughter and son-in-law were involved in the company at this point, 1980. My grandmother oversaw the seamstresses and the quality department, and my grandfather oversaw the financial and the suppliers. Karen wanted full control and started a little fire in the family. She spread a rumor that grandfather stole from the company. I don't know what transpired, but in the end, my great-grandfather bought out all the family, and Jack bought out great-grandfather. The company was Jack and Karen's company now, and things went tits up pretty quickly. Seamstresses quit, bills were not paid, and Jack had to take a loan from great-grandfather. The family company was barely scraping by, and Karen left Jack because he couldn't provide for her. It became apparent that Jack could not make it work and was looking for a way out. After a while, great-grandfather had seen enough and brought back the remnants of his company and sold it to a bigger company that wanted to expand. This made the wealth he amassed even bigger. He did set up different bank accounts for his children and said that if someone was in need, they could take money from that account. He told Jack his cut was smaller as he was the main reason he sold the company and that he was let down by the carelessness his son had run the company into the ground. Jack was angry and told his father that he could make it work if he had more time. It remained a sour point between the two of them. Things went well for a while, but Jack married a second time, a woman named Helen. Helen, like Karen, wanted to own a business. Jack agreed and took money from the account in order to start Helen's company. The business was a little barber shop and ran pretty well. They were spending their money on luxury and didn't save any money. After a while, my grandmother got a call from her little brother Jack if he could store some goods in her garage. My grandfather did not trust Jack and told him no, and grandmother did not agree, but they agreed to it. A few weeks later, Jack got caught for possession of stolen goods and prohibited substances smuggling. It was not a surprise, but nonetheless a letdown for my great-grandfather. Hank, this time, would not help Jack and told him that he would no longer stand behind him. A few years after Jack got out and was again a divorced man, he married again and divorced another 3 times. Each time he gave these women a business and a lavish lifestyle. New cars, big house, expensive vacations. He drained his money and robbed the emergency bank account dry. He loaned a lot of money from great-grandfather and so on. In 2013, great-grandfather became ill. It was clear that he was not going to make it and took his final days in stride. At this time, Jack became very buddy-buddy and started to help great-grandfather sell some stuff. At some point, my grandmother sat down with her father and asked him where the money went for the sold stuff, and great-grandfather told her not to worry about it. He took care of it in his will. After his 95th birthday, he passed away, quiet and in peace. After the funeral, they all went to listen to the will of their father, except Jack, who'd given power of attorney to my grandmother to sign the will in his place. All the children get their fair share, but at the end, the notary public tells them to sign the papers and the inheritance is completely theirs. At some point, my grandma called my dad. She inherited some collateral papers, all sorts of papers, that stated that someone owed my great-grandfather money. My father said that she has to call a lawyer's office to get money from these papers. A few days after the call to the lawyer's office, my grandmother gets a call from her brother. Why was she taking his money from the inheritance? My grandmother tells him that she inherited some collateral papers and she wants to get the money from them. Jack was furious and told her that was illegal. Jack was wrong. Great-grandfather had documented every penny his son had loaned from him and constructed his will in such a way that the rest of his children could get that part of their money from their money drain of a brother. Also, great-grandfather found out Jack stole from him. You see, Jack was putting money he made from the sold stuff on his own banking account instead of giving it to his father. After this ordeal, Jack had not contacted my grandmother or her sisters. He has since paid everything back and has never seen a penny from his inheritance. Great-grandfather has confided in a letter why he did this. He was done with his son, all the lying, the careless things he'd done to the company, all the money he'd blown, and not taking any responsibility. He gave his final lesson to his son from the grave. This is a perfect example of the phrase, the grandfather creates the wealth, the father expands it, and the son squanders it. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.